Has anyone ever heard of the movie Dead Man or Arizona Dreamer? Or what about the movie Blow? If so, then you know of the all-time famous Johnny Depp. He is one of the most talented and intelligent creatures of his time. Johnny Depp has grossed between $6.2 and $7.2 billion worldwide in movie sales alone. He's accomplished all of this within 25 years of his acting career. Johnny Depp was born and raised in Kentucky on June 9, 1963, to two parents, John and Betty Sue Depp. Depp's father worked as a civil engineer, and his mother came from a fully blooded Cherokee stock and worked as a waitress and a homemaker. The youngest of four children, Johnny Depp was withdrawn and self-admitted oddball. He felt like the black sheep. Who would have knew? I made odd noises as a child, he later revealed in an interview. I just did weird things, he says, like turn off light switches twice. I think my parents thought I had Tourette's syndrome. Johnny and his family moved frequently to accommodate his father's job, finally landing in Florida when Johnny was 7 years old. The family lived in a motel for nearly a year until his father found a job. Depp hated his new home. By the age of 12, he began smoking, experimenting with drugs, and engaging himself in self-harm due to stress of his family. Puberty was very vague, he said. I literally locked myself in a room and played guitar for hours. In 1978, when Depp was 15, his parents got divorced. As the youngest of four, it became Johnny's Depp to be the provider of the family. Johnny's job was to go to his father's office and pick up the weekly child support money. The split caused a rift between Johnny and his father. At 16, Depp dropped out of high school and joined a garage band. They were called the Kids. The group became successful enough to open for Talking Heads in the B-52s, but they barely made ends meet. Depp lived in his friend's '67 Chevy Impala for years, until 1983, at the age of 20. Johnny met and married 25-year-old makeup artist Lori Allison. That same year, the couple moved to LA in hopes of Depp's band striking it big. Still living on a very small budget, Depp and his bandmates supported themselves by selling pens for a telemarketing firm just to make ends meet to support for himself and his wife. A year later, Depp fell into acting when his wife introduced him to her ex-boyfriend, Nicolas Cage. Cage saw potential in Depp and introduced a hopeful musician to a Hollywood agent. After several small roles in his film extra, Depp landed his first legitimate movie role in The Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. By 1985, the kids had all broken up. So had Depp's marriage. After the split with Allison, Depp met with actress Cheryl Finn, whom he met on the set of the short film Dummies in 1985. The couple dated and were briefly engaged, but split shortly after. After the breakup, Depp then met and proposed to Jennifer Grey. The romance was short-lived as well. Depp started studying acting in his earliest. First in cases of the Loft Studio in Los Angeles, and then with the private coach. The lessons paid off in 1987 when he replaced John Yeager in the role of Tommy Hansen in the popular Canadian film television series 21 Jump Street. The role thirsted Depp into almost immediate stardom. He became a teen idol overnight, a title that he greatly resented. When his contract on 21 Jump Street expired in 1989, he leaped at the opportunity to pursue weighted losses. In 1990, Depp starred in the John Walters 50 Kitsch musical Cry Baby. I love that movie, which became a cultural hit and succeeded in changing his image. That same year, he received an opportunity to exhibit his versatility as an actor in the titular role of Tim Burton's fantasy film Edward Scissorhands. The movie not only established Johnny Depp as an A-list actor, but also grossed more than $54 million at the box office. Following the film's success, Depp carved a niche for himself as a serious, somewhat dark performer, selecting roles that surprised critics and audiences alike. It was during the shooting for Edward Scissorhands that Depp finally met with co-star Winona Ryder, who he'd been eyeing ever since at the meeting at the premiere for her film The Great Ball of Fire in 1989. The two began dating on the set and became a Hollywood power couple. 5 months after the first date, Depp and Ryder became engaged. To solidify their love, Depp even had Winona Forever tattooed on his right arm. The couple split, however, in 1993 after Ryder's parents forbid their daughter to marry. Outside of his personal life, Depp continued to flourish, gaining critical acclaim and increasing popularity for his work. Several of his most notable roles include his role as the social Sam in the Benny and June, which earned a Golden Globe nod in the Gilbert in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which cast him as a young man dissatisfied with the confines of his small town life. I'm sorry if I'm looking down. I'm a little bit nervous, but right now I'm just going to show you some pictures because I absolutely love Johnny Depp, and I think everybody needs to know what he looks like. So this was Johnny Depp right here. Back in the day, it was first television series on the 21 Jump Street. Here he is now, present day, nice and clean cut. And then here he is in his rock band. I'll get to that more in a little bit. And then here he is as the all famous Jack Sparrow. Who could not like that? Who could hate that face? He's amazing. But to continue on with my subject about Johnny Depp, I would like to talk about his troubled image in relationships that happened a long time ago. In August of 1993, he and two business partners bought the Viper Club in LA, which instantaneously became the hippest spot on the Sunset. Depp began using the club as an opportunity to introduce Pardons to music to his newly formed band Pete, which offered popular shows at the venue, but tragically hit the club on October 31st of the same year when teen heartthrob and critically acclaimed actor River Phoenix suffered a drug overdose outside the club. Phoenix died later that evening. Depp's life began losing control as the star dabbled with drugs and spiraled into a deep depression. Around this time, he started a very public, destructive relationship with the supermodel Kate Moss. Depp and Moss constantly made headlines for their passionate and unpredictable behavior. In 1994, Depp famously trashed a New York hotel room one after the other after the many couples fights. Depp's wild behavior didn't seem to have an effect on his professional life. In 1994, he reteamed with Burton on the epic Ed Wood about the famously awful B-movie director. The film won Depp critical acclaim. The other Golden Globe nomination, another notable of the films in 1990s include Don Juan DeMarco, in which Depp plays a character who believes he is a famous fictional character, Don Juan, and Donnie Brasco, which featured Depp as an undercover FBI agent seeking to infiltrate the all-famous Bonanno crime family. In 2004, Depp earned the Academy Award nomination for a starring role as Captain Jack Sparrow in the family adventure Pirates of the Caribbean. This film was a box office smash and led to the creation of the Pirates franchise. The end of that year, Depp also turned into a critically acclaimed performance in Finding Neverland, in which he starred as Peter Pan. The film earned more than 10 award nominations, including both Academy and Golden Globe. In 2006, Depp returned as Captain Jack Sparrow for the sequel of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, which broke a box office world record in reaching the highest weekend tally ever. The third installment, fared well too. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End was released on Memorial Day, bringing in $138.8 million in the U.S. that weekend. Insane. Johnny Depp is perhaps one of the most versatile actors of his day and in Hollywood, who has changed his image greatly since the portrayal of Captain Jack Sparrow in the acclaimed Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, with his wonderful cast of Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley. Although he gained popularity since Edward Scissorhands, Depp was never always hugely famous. For many years until he portrayed the charming Jack Sparrow. I never knew that. It was so interesting. I've always loved him. Curse of the Black Pearl. With the film's enormous success, it opened several doors and even included an Oscar nomination. He appeared as a central character in Stephen King's based movie Secret Window, and the kind-hearted novelist James Bear in the factually based Finding Neverland. Johnny Depp is one of the most amazing actors of all time. He donates so much of his time and energy to charity work, who does that? He has a family, a life, a career. He's in a band, and he still finds time to give out to charity. That is the most unselfish thing I've ever heard of, and I'm very happy that I was able to talk about him tonight. And I definitely look at him so differently. And if he can come from such an abrupt and disorganized and unstable family life, what's stopping the rest of us from doing the same, no matter what the excuse is? So I'm very happy about this project. I hope I did okay in my video. I hope everybody liked it. I'm sorry if I was reading my iPad a little too much. I do get nervous, but I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much, and I look forward